I'm here with Rabbi Dr. Seth Farber, who originally grew up in Riverdale and taught in Boston and made Aliyah, moved to Israel with his family, wife and 5 kids, and who is the director and founder of ETeam, which is fighting for vulnerable populations in Israel, in particular, pushing for pluralism and working on issues of Jewish status. In addition, Rabbi Farber is an author and a wonderful educator. The New York Times described Rabbi Farber as a pragmatic idealist. He's a personal hero of mine, and I'm thrilled to have a few minutes to be able to ask him a few questions. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So can you just tell us a little bit about what ETeam is and what it does?
ETeam has a very simple vision to normalize Jewish life in Israel. And the way we do it is both by working on the micro and the macro levels. On the micro level, we have a hotline that helps people who want to live Jewish life in Israel, and particularly those who have to face the rabbinate at critical moments in their lives: marriage, divorce, burial. And we get upwards of 4,000 calls a year from people who walk into the institutions of Jewish life in Israel and find that they're at a dead end. They simply find their identity challenged, their ways, their access routes to Jewish life challenged. And that's really one side of the office. That's really how we began. And we built it up from 10 or 15 calls a month to now 4,000 calls a year. In the last 3 or 4 years, we've also created another side to our work. And that is that we're not satisfied with simply solving individuals' problems. And what we're really interested in doing is creating systemic change in Israel. That's what I mean by the macro level. So at this point, we have a legal team and a research team that work on legislation and litigation, on compliance work, and we have a whole set of initiatives that we run that help families and individuals live Jewish life, but more importantly, lobby and create new models of Jewish life in Israel that are more accessible and particularly more democratic.
Right, amazing. Since you started advocating for that change, how have you seen dynamics begin to evolve?
Look, in some areas we've had dramatic success. In the area of burial, we've been involved in interministerial committees at the highest levels to change the way burial is done in Israel. I personally participated in the Prime Minister's roundtable on women's exclusion from public life, and I was kind of the representative saying women need to play a greater role in burial ceremonies of their loved ones. And if 7 or 8 years ago women weren't allowed by ultra-Orthodox clerics to participate fully in burial ceremonies, today they are.
Amazing.
In marriage issues, we've achieved a certain modicum of success, but we're not there. And really, in every area, we've seen certain success. I think for the first time, the institutions of Jewish life in Israel recognize there's someone watching out for the average citizen, and much more than being a watchdog, there's someone really advocating and changing the way the system works.
Maybe there's a particular story you can share of someone that was affected, was marginalized, and that you were able to, ETeam was able to advocate for and support.
Sure, I'll tell you the story of a young Russian couple who came on Aliyah as part of the more than 1 million Jews who came on Aliyah over the last 25 years from the former Soviet Union. Maxim and Alina Sardukov are a wonderful, sweet couple, and Alina came on Aliyah based on the fact that her father was Jewish, and Maxim based on the fact that his mom was Jewish, and they grew up together from the time they were 9 or 10. They were really growing up together in Ashkelon, and they joined the IDF together, and they both served Israel in really meaningful ways. Maxim was in field intelligence. He fought in the Lebanon War, the Second Lebanon War. And when they wanted to get married, they understood there might be a problem because even though Alina's father was Jewish in Israel, none of the movements, not the Orthodox, not the Reform, accept the patrilineal definition. Because of that, Alina registered for a conversion program within the IDF. We might be the only military that has a conversion program. And when she completed that program, they thought everything was going to be great. When they walked into the rabbin in Ashkelon, the chief rabbi there, who was given the keys to marriage registration, told them, "I don't accept your conversion." Now, this is really Kafkaesque because remember, her conversion was done under the aegis of the chief rabbi of Israel. It's not like anybody could question, even in this case, her Orthodox credentials, and yet The local rabbi simply was riding a wave of people questioning everybody and being suspicious, particularly of immigrants in the former Soviet Union. And Maxim and Alina were one of 40 couples that this happened to over a period of 6 or 7 months. And it's something that came to our attention over and over and over again, and we solved it on the micro level. Maxim and Alina chose to fight. Maxim actually went on national news and he said, when they dropped me on the other side of the Litani River, and I was in Lebanon, I didn't stop fighting, and I'm not going to stop fighting for my rights here in Israel. And in the end, Maxim and Alina's case went to the Supreme Court, where ETeam represented them, not just for themselves, but really in a class action suit, saying local rabbis do not have the right to challenge these kinds of conversions. They simply can't challenge the conversions that are performed within the context of the IDF. And after a long and protracted battle, where I became notorious as being the Orthodox rabbi who sued the chief rabbi of Israel in the Supreme Court, ultimately we were successful, not only for Maxim and Alina, but really for more than 40,000 people who've converted in Israel over the last 13 or 14 years. And now all of them have full rights to get married in Israel, in their local municipalities, and the local rabbis simply have no say in the matter at all.
Wow. This is such a massive undertaking. What's inspired you and kind of fueled the energy to take on such a bold initiative? Is there something theological or something in the Torah, or is it personal?
Look, we're at a transitional moment in Jewish history, but a dramatic one. When I was growing up, I grew up in a Zionist home, and I felt like I'd missed the boat. I wasn't born in 48. 67, I was already alive, but barely conscious of what was going on around me. And I experienced personally the incredible Jewish civil rights movement, if you will, particularly fighting on behalf of Soviet Jewry. But coming to Israel, I realized there's a huge gap between the Zionist dream that I was, brought up on in America and the Zionist reality. And I like to quip that you would have thought after 2,000 years we'd get the Jewish thing right. But clearly, Israel and the Zionist enterprise is still struggling with what it means to live a full Jewish life. And the issues of pluralism are really front and center there, because we need to respect the diversity of the Jewish community at large, not only the Jews in Israel, but really the Jewish people as a whole. And the keys to Jewish life, for the most part, especially over the last 15 or so years, have been handed to the ultra-Orthodox. Now, the ultra-Orthodox are not bad people, and they're people really we can work with, but their view of the Jewish world is very, very limited, and because of that, they don't respect, they don't understand, they're very suspicious of all that isn't like them. And it requires some education, but it also requires sometimes going down to the mat to fight on behalf of people's Jewish rights. So my inspiration in the end is looking towards the future and saying we're at a transitional moment, and if we don't transform that which takes place in Israel and repercussively that which takes place all over the Jewish world, we're not in for a very healthy Jewish future. And alternatively, if we are successful, I think you have a vested interest in me winning, or ETeam winning more, just like anybody in North American Jewry. If we do win, then we're going to have a much more robust Jewish people, and certainly a much more robust state of Israel.
You just started to touch upon it. So my last question for you in regards to Zionism is, what is your grand or lofty vision or dream for Israel? What would it look like to have an actualized Jewish state?
Look, first of all, I think it's important to recognize the miraculous nature of what we have already. In 67 years, we've produced something remarkable, incredible. And when I think about it in the context of the United States, I think after 67 years, we still haven't fought a civil war here, and I'm hoping we won't get to that in Israel.
Right.
But we were in the midst of the populist revolution in America, and Andrew Jackson, etc. In Israel, we're still growing, we're still maturing, and my grand vision is a place which is the center of the Jewish world, but one that doesn't deny the viability of Jewish communities around the world. It embraces them. It recognizes their potency, their power, their vibrancy, their difference, and it enables them. It provides a life source for them as well. I do think demographically, the center of the Jewish world is moving towards Israel. I don't think there's any demographer who would disagree with that assessment. But that doesn't delegitimize the diaspora. It just creates greater responsibility in Israel. So right now, Israel is still maturing, and of course, the security situation sometimes requires us to focus internally. But I pray every day, 3 times a day, that we will have peace in our land and we will have peace among the Jewish people. And when we do, and I hope it's soon, we have a much different issue, but a not less important issue to deal with and to contend with, and that is how are we going to bind the Jewish people together? In my grand vision, Jewish life in Israel is a binding force, it's not a dividing force.
Thank you so much. I can't tell you, you know you're a hero to me and so many. And we believe that having you at the forefront gives us so much confidence to sustain in the diaspora our Zionist dreams and vision of what the homeland can be. So thank you, and we just wish you so much success in all of your endeavors.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.